Rock is lit. Confidential.
Calling all true crime lovers and classic Hollywood fans, here's a special bonus for you. Was silent film star Barbara Marr religious? Was legendary MGM producer and Jean Harlow's husband Paul Bern? This outtake from my interview with actress and author Sherry Snyder and Paul Bern's great niece Laura Riebman didn't make the full episode. You can catch our complete conversation in Fatal Fame, Paul Bern, Jean Harlow, Barbara Marr, and a 1930s Hollywood mystery on Rock is Lit Confidential. Links in the description. For now, enjoy this exclusive outtake. Paul Bern had a beautiful black fan with a rosary tangled in its plumes that used to belong to Barbara Marr. He then, at some point, gifted it to Joan Crawford. Tell me about that black fan with the rosary and how he got it and what the story is there.
He might have obtained it before she died or perhaps after, because he was in touch with her parents after she died. And she had many things on display in Altadena in her room. Obviously, she wanted to be surrounded by items that gave her, that meant something to her. She had a photograph of Ramon Navarro. Evidently, he's the one who gave her the rosary. He and Barbara were close friends. They were co-stars in 3 films. And she had, all the notes and flowers that her friends sent her, all of these things in her bedroom surrounding her so she could look upon them every day. But yes, somehow Paul got hold of that fan. And I don't know if the rosary was still entangled in its plumes when he gave it to Joan Crawford. But what happened was Joan Crawford was going through a period of intense discouragement. And Joan Crawford had been a very big fan of Barbara's, really admired her work. And Paul, in order to cheer Joan up when she was going through that period of intense sadness, he gave her the fan and he told her that he believed Barbara would want her to have it.
Do you know if Barbara was religious? I mean, I'm assuming she was if she's got this fan with a rosary.
She was. At different times in her life, when she was a preteen and then even later during her dancing days, before she was a famous movie star, of course, she thought about being a nun. Amazingly, she thought about entering the convent. She'd been educated in convent schools, and so she felt a connection to the nuns, and she was very spiritual, and she explored all sorts of things. According to her lover, Robert Carville, I mean, she explored many of the different religions. I know that she had strong faith. In fact, she seemed to align with Christian Science. And at the very end of her life, at one point, I think it was just weeks or maybe even days before she died. I'd have to go back and check my book, but she was being treated by a doctor in Altadena, and she had at least 1, possibly 2 nurses with her. Again, I'd have to check my book, but she dismissed them, and she wanted to rely on a Christian Science practitioner at that point. And her father told reporters that was her will at the end. She thought that could do more for her. And then her doctor came out and said that after her death that, I could have saved her. She was convalescing, up to the point that I was dismissed. She was convalescing, according to him. So, yeah, she was inclined to place her faith in God, things of that nature. She was religious.
That question leads to this question for Laura. Was Paul Bern religious? I know your family was Jewish. Do you know if Paul Bern was a practicing Jew?
I would guess not. My grandparents were both Jewish. I mean, if you ask them, they were Jewish, but they were not practicing Jews. And I think Paul's greater interest was more into the psychological and the mystical kind of side of things. He was very interested in what was going on in the time. I think he did, not that this was his belief, but I think he dabbled in some seances with other like-minded people. And I think his interests were more in the human heart and humanity than in, I would guess he believed in a God, but I don't believe he was a person that attended religious events.
For the full episode, watch Fatal Fame, Paul Bern, Jean Harlow, Barbara Marr, and a 1930s Hollywood mystery now on Rock is Lit Confidential. Links in the description.
Rock is Lit Confidential.